And welcome everybody. Today we're going to do a quick start in Space Engineers. I'm going to show you how to get a base started with assembling and refining, backup power, food production. I'm going to show you how to claim your rover so it doesn't disappear, and then set up an auto miner that will automatically generate resources for you while you're nowhere near it. So we're going to do all this in under an hour. We're going to keep it quick. If you have any questions, please put them down below in the comments or stop by the Discord, and glad to help out. So first things first, I like to get some things in production. So we're going to start up a bunch of stone queued up. We're going to go over here to ammo, and I'm going to queue up 10 of the pistol ammo just so we have some more of that. Then I'm going over to the control panel and find the two lights. I'm going to turn the radius on those up to max and turn the intensity down a bit. And then going over to the hydrogen tank, I'm going to turn on auto refill for those. And that's it inside of the vehicle. Now this wouldn't be a video of mine if I didn't start by grinding things down. So let's start with this ladder here. Be careful, it's easy to miss it and hit something else. There we go. And I'm going to remove this parachute hatch here. There we go. Now I'm going to remove most of the roll cage on up to this white section here. It is adorable that they added a roll cage, which seems really useful, until you notice that they immediately put two important components sticking out past the roll cage. So if you flip hard enough, those are toast. So that's it for the top. Then go over to the side here and going to trim down one of these piston parts. There's 4 of them, but we just need one of them. Then we're going to remove this conveyor. It's right next to the hydrogen tank, and it's not needed, and this way we can put hydrogen bottles in there later. And then go ahead and remove these mud flaps completely. It's okay if you miss the smaller piece on them. It'll just fall to the ground and disappear. But this is really important for when we claim the vehicle later, so I just removed them so they're not in the way. And then also get most of this tire from the back as well, this extra one. There we go. So that gave us a lot of starting components, and we're going to add a container. We don't need to, but it's nice just to have a little extra space while we're doing what we do. Weld up what I have, right click, and then shift middle click to queue up what I'm missing. And then we started some pistol ammo, so we can grab that. And then we can also grab the pistol and the extra ammo from the cockpit. You can get the food if you want, but I'll just leave it there for now. And then I'm going to go over here to G and character weapons and drag that pistol onto my bar. Locked and loaded, ready for the wolves later, and I can finish this container now. The wolves won't really attack until you start working on your base a little later, so just good to be ready. Next, we want to go ahead here and put a conveyor. Small grids conveyor tube here. Going to go ahead and queue up those items. There we go. And I'm using yellow so you can see anything I add to the rover really easily. Also, it's fun. Then oh, I forgot an item here. So next, let's make a mag plate. We're going to just get some unlocks, and I can go ahead and put it right here for now. That's fine. Right click on that. There we go. So I made a mag plate, and that unlocked a number of components, and then I can remove that mag plate. And then next I want to grind down this cockpit to non-functional and then weld it back up, and that'll get us a bunch more unlocks. Now if you have progression turned off, which I recommend, You don't need to deal with this re-welding stuff, but by default it is turned on, so I'm doing it. So there we go. So now we can actually make a drill. And we'll go ahead and place that here on this conveyor tube on the front. And right click to get and queue up those missing components. And it's only missing a couple. And there we go. So now we've got a drill on the front of the Rover. We have not done any hand mining, and I don't plan to. So I'm going to go put that drill with an on-off on number 5, get it started, and I am on my way. I am now gathering resources as we explore. Those are coming in here and automatically being processed by the survival kit. And so really I just leave this on while I'm doing the next part of the process. And it's a great start to the adventures. So next what we want to do is, while we're refining all this, we want to buy a little time. And first of all, if you are adventurous, you can go take on one of these encounters and take those over, and that'll get you a ton of materials. And it's kind of like finding a village in Minecraft sort of thing. It's particularly valuable. But for us in this playthrough, we're going to focus on getting unknown signals, because you get a few extra metal grids, which is really nice, and some seeds and some resources that can definitely help at the very beginning. And then we're going to look around and see if we can mark some ores, find a good spot for a base, preferably over iron if possible. But it is not required in this method, because you can always get enough metal grids from unknown signals to get your vehicle flying eventually, and then search for ores then. And we're going to get a stone mining right away, so that'll get us resources wherever we go. But it is definitely nice if you can mark the ores you're going to need, find some cobalt, and set up base on iron somewhere. So do be careful that it is easy to accelerate too quickly, especially up a mountain, and hit that container on the back. It's a little delicate. Okay, whoa. We just passed some silicon. Silicon is usually with magnesium and often ice. Oh, I saw something. There we go. Oh, silicon nickel. So this is, there we go. Silicon, nickel, magnesium. So I press enter, type /GPS, and type in silicon mag. And that added a GPS, so we know where that is for later. Now you can, whoop, I just ran over some mushrooms. I wonder if I picked them up. That would be cool. I did not. You can find ore easier with two ways. One is you can zoom out like this with Alt, and you can lower your graphics settings, and it makes it easier to spot the dark spotches. And then also, ore is generally laid out in a grid pattern. So if you find two in a row, then you can kind of just follow that in any direction. You're likely to find more ore. So, but again, it's not crucial. We can get going without it. Yeah, definitely taking over those POIs is a very fast way to start if you're up for it. But depending on which one it is, you can get in a lot of fights and get beat up, and maybe you don't want to start like that. So it's nice to have options. Let's see here, we're almost there. Now we can jetpack over to some of these, so if you get in an area that's hard to reach, you can often ride your jetpack over. But I just drive the vehicle where I can. And the important part about starting out is ensure that you're always, so iron, that's pretty good, and another drill if we ever needed it. The important part with starting out is that you're always either mining, refining, or assembling. And if you keep those things going, sorry, I should have clicked this sooner. If you keep doing those things, then you are moving forward and you'll kind of get there pretty quickly. And we are actually mining and refining right now. Right there. It's pretty good. As far as how long you should do this for, my rule of thumb is if you see the second unknown signal spawn, okay, I can't see if I can reach this. Nice. If you see a second unknown signal spawn, then that's about good timing to make a base. You should have plenty of resources by then. I'd try to stop a little before that. There is a Space Pirate salvage yard. So something to keep in mind that if you do go to these POIs, if it's red, then that means that antenna spawned drones can come out. And so park a lot further away from it before you attack it. Let's see if I can spot any ore spots here. I think that's one to our left. And I'm just using Alt and middle mouse to scroll to change my perspective. V switches between first person and third. I'm also picking up these fruit bushes as we go around. You can eat them if you'd like. You can also set up a base nearby some of them and just harvest them whenever they pop. But I just hold on to them for later when you want to set up farming. Ooh, there we go. We found some iron here. This is fantastic. The iron is not very deep, so I would expect it wouldn't be alone and we'd find some cobalt and nickel with it, but I have not. So, at least on Earth, iron never spawns alone, so there is something else here. We just can't reach it with our ore detector. But that is no problem. We'll just find a good spot above the iron. About right there. And our medium container's pretty full. We've been processing a lot. I'll go ahead and turn the drill off. And it's nicer if you can find a flatter spot, but this will be just fine. What I like to do is put my components into a container. If you need to make space, then there's usually extra room in the cockpit for some ore that you can put just to make room. Cool change they made in Apex is now cockpits don't get filled up automatically when you harvest ore. So I put everything in there, and then what I want to do is I want to queue up a wind turbine. and an assembler, a basic assembler. And then let me pull out whatever I can and queue up the rest. There we go. And we are a couple of things here. So when you're figuring out where to place, it's nice if you can be over iron. I check where the sun is. I have a slightly larger sun in this skybox. But I check where the sun is, and I try to aim in that direction if possible. And can do that. Every time you replace a large block, it'll align with wherever you were aiming. So there we go. So I try to aim that direction. If you're midday, then there's a good chance that you can kind of align your algae farm facing that and be okay. So then I'm going to go 4 blocks out here. So 4 blocks to the side. And then from the bottom, I'm going to go 11 up. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Then I come down and make a cross or star here. And put the wind turbine on top. And then I can place the assembler here. There we go. And I face it facing kind of outward this way. Weld up what we can. And if you needed any components just to make that frame, then make sure you grab those first. But otherwise, all this stuff should be cooking now. I stopped the drill a bit ago, so it got a chance to finish up the stone and then started on the components. You can always, if you want to prioritize components over stone, you can just move stone to the end of the list. And then if you run out of any components, we can always go get more. So I stopped my adventures kind of early, and so hopefully we have enough resources, but if not, you just drive around for a little bit longer searching. It is nice to kind of mark all your ores early on, that way you just know right where to go to get them. Like for us, we've got silicon right over there that we can get, nickel and magnesium. There's going to be gold and silver somewhere out here, and cobalt somewhere. But with this start that I'm showing you so far, you actually don't need the cobalt yet, so we can always get that a little later. Also, while we're waiting, if a signal dropped, we can go grab that as well. Let's go ahead and mark this GPS here. So GPS, and I'm going to call it home, but I'm also going to say iron in this GPS. I also like to change the color of my home to something like purplish. So it's easy to spot in my field of GPSs that I make. So making the assembler unlocks a lot of things. So that's kind of why we rush to do that quickly. We're getting there. This part takes a little while. A couple of things here. So I'm running Sneaky Sounds, which just reduces the volume of grinding and drilling. But I'm also running a skybox that will keep it fairly bright at nighttime as well. That's just so it's easier for the video, but otherwise no mods, and I just click quick start from the main menu, so it's all default settings. Nothing special about that. And waiting. These computers take a while. Part of why I don't queue this stuff up earlier is, well, one, the stone's busy in the refinery anyways, but you never know what you're going to get from the unknown signals when they pop. go. I can get this started. The nice thing about this design for wind is it's slightly higher than most people recommend, and that way when you put things below, it doesn't block it. But there's room for one tower. You're able to have 5 turbines on it, and they all get 100%. And then you can stand here without your jetpack on while you're welding, which is really nice. So I'm welding that all the way up. I like to steal some of the interior plates because everything else is unwelded, so that doesn't need to be that protected. Unknown signal just spawned. It's falling very quickly. Wow. Let us go get that unknown signal while we're waiting, because I think we have... Oh, no, we're actually good here. I would normally go get that while I'm waiting. So we got our assembler being built right now. This is the moment, right? Once you have your assembler, kind of, the world is your oyster. It's a pretty good time. So we got that built up. We used some of the steel plates for other things. If you needed more, you can always grab them, but that's perfectly fine. And then next, what we want to do is claim the vehicle. So this vehicle right now, if you hold a block over it, gives this red message that says this is a respawn ship. It will get removed if you spawn a new one. Also, it's more likely to get cleaned up on a server as well. And so we want to fix that. There are 2 ways to remove that tag of being a respawn pod. One is to build a bunch of blocks off of the side that are more blocks than are normally on it and cut it off, and the bigger side gets the marker. So I do that in space, but with these small grids there's so many little blocks, that's kind of a pain to do. So the other way to do it is to merge it onto a grid that is static. And so for that, we're going to need some merge blocks. And for those, we're going to need some steel plates. So let's grab some of those. If you have extra stuff that you want to save for later, like food and things, I just put those in the cockpit. It's a nice little storage space. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to have a flat thing that this can back up against. I don't like to use my most important wind tower as that flat thing that I'm going to hit with my car. So let's go over here. Actually, let's, if possible, go to a flatter spot for this. You'll just have a better time. So this is flat enough. You can do it on an angle. It's just a little easier if you're not on an angle. So I place 2 blocks there. They're just there temporarily. And then I place an L on the back of this. And then merge block. One that way, and then one facing it. Yep, there we go. That's facing that one. And then a landing gear. So there we go. So I'm gonna grab those components from over here. Oh, actually, sorry. I'm gonna grab those components from over here. I'll queue those up. You should have plenty of those components. We got small steel tubes from a couple of things. So yeah, it shouldn't be an issue. If so, you can always hunt for them from the vehicle, or you can craft them in the assembler. There we go. So now I'm welding these blocks up. So we have 2 merge blocks in a landing gear, and then I'm going to remove these 2 or 3 blocks there, the scaffolding. And then I can go ahead and back up here into that those large grid blocks. And then I'm going to go ahead and find the first small merge block, the one without a number. And I'm going to toggle it on and off. Put it on my bar, and then I turn it off, and then back on, and it locked. And so what that did is that claimed this main vehicle, so I no longer get that message. But the trouble is, I do get it when I go over the tires. So wheels are kind of considered a separate grid, like sort of, enough to where they, if this got deleted, or the wheels would get deleted right now on their own. So let's fix that. We are still locked in place, and that's very important. Be sure not to press the P key or your parking brake at all during this process, otherwise you will fall to the ground. But go ahead and go over to your wheels and change the height offset all the way up. And this is why we removed those mud flaps earlier, because they would get in the way. So now that it's all the way up, we're going to go ahead and remove these wheels. Moving all 4 of them, because they'd be a pain to claim, so we'll just remove them all. At least I think they'd be a pain to claim. Okay, so those are up, and now we should, hopefully, be able to go back here and add wheel. There we go. And so since we lifted it up, there was room for it to re-add the wheels once we removed them. So we still have all the components. We're going to go ahead and re-weld these. And now you own 100% of this vehicle. It is considered a normal grid, not a respawn pod, as if you made it from scratch. So let's go ahead and lower these wheels back down. That was height offset. Bring it back mostly to the top there. There you go. So you have now claimed this vehicle. Let's go ahead and remove these. Very nice. So this is all yours now. So we can go ahead and get started on our auto miner. Let's go ahead and back up here next to our base. Also, I checked the replay, and we are on some other resources. I think I just saw gold. I think I saw cobalt earlier, so that's pretty cool. I start by moving over everything I can from here. So grabbing all these components, pretty much everything. Everything not in the cockpit, pretty much. And I'm gonna move them into the output of the assembler just to make some space. Move the ores into the input. And then I can't do anything with these other items yet, so I'll throw them out. And then I want to queue up some things. So first of all, we need another unlock, because we're going to make an event controller, and we can't until we make a light. So I'm just re-welding this light here. This whole time you were wondering why I left the lights on, and that was it. So I want to make a battery. So I'm looking for the larger size of the small grid battery, and I can add that onto my bar. I'm looking for an event controller. I want to queue that up, small grid, add that onto my bar, and then I'm looking for the small curved conveyor tube. I want to queue up 2 of those and add that onto my bar as well. And then I'll pull what I can and queue up the rest. So these are cooking. Hopefully we have enough resources for it, because once we do, we don't have to worry about resources again. Nice, looking good so far. Yeah, I know I'm kind of, I flip my camera around a lot, and I don't always explain things perfectly, but I wanted to get this out there so you just get an idea of what it's like to play through quickly, and the pacing of it and what it would feel like. So we were able to finish those components. So what we need to do is find some place that's not over ore. So I want to get a little bit of distance because we were right on the iron. So let's go a little away here. It's funny trying to run away from ore. Okay, this should be good. So our base is right there. I'm going to go ahead and GPS this and say auto miner, just so I can find this spot later. And then I'm going to place a large grid block here just so that it's flat. And then I'm going to place the battery. I just want it to be over top of that. And it is. So that looks good. So I've welded up this fresh battery, and it has a 30% charge, which will be enough to run for about an hour. And now I cleared this stuff out earlier, so I'm going to go ahead and grind down this container. I'm going to place it on top of here. There we go. Nice thing is we're just kind of reusing a lot of the parts we had. We just had to make that additional battery. We're doing the same thing with the survival kit. And as long as you didn't trim any more than this, everything will still stay together. You'll be fine. So that's still all functional. So then let's add the survival kit to our bar. There we go. We can stand on top of it while it's welding. It's wiggling a bit, but it's okay. Alright, and then we have these new conveyor tubes. So placing that there, and that there, and then the event controller that we made, place that there. And then we can weld those up. Whoa. It's okay if this falls over. As long as we can place this drill on top, we're good. So now we can steal this drill from here. We don't need that right now. And put the drill back on top. Can be any direction. I like this one because it's nice and flat. Sometimes you can stand on top and weld it. Sometimes you can't. There we go. So instead of some complex drill rig, we've finished our auto drill already. So let's go set it up. So what we do here is we go to the event controller, leave it on cargo field, change this to equal or less than, and I like to go about 85%. The reason why is when it drills, it kind of overfills immediately, so 85 is a good percentage. And then I add the medium cargo container as the block we're going to check, and then go to select actions. And so if it's less than 85%, we're going to turn the drill on, so toggle block on, and if not, we're going to turn it off, toggle block off. So that is set up. So event controllers only fire when things change, so we have to turn on the drill on its own the first time. But also let's queue up a gazillion ingots. That's about a gazillion. And then we can turn the drill on, and it started rocking, and we can remove that, and it'll usually fall over on its own. Thankfully not onto the rover. Maybe I should give some more space next time. But it fell over. Small grids don't take much damage from hits like that, so it's fine. It will drill into the ground on its own because it wiggles over time, but we can help it out. I'll crouch and then right click and be careful not to get too close. There we go. So the drill is launched to the center of the earth. Since it turns off when it's full, it won't descend very quickly. Once it gets past this dirt and into actual stone, it'll slow down quite a bit. Now this battery, we can actually take a look while it's all running, that it says it has an hour left. And it'll be a little bit more than that. So you can grab another battery. I mean, you could put on probably 4 extra batteries and it wouldn't affect its performance at all. Or you can just wait until it's done and come back and replace this battery. So either way, you're set. But the nice thing is now we have resources generating, and at any point we can just come by and grab them. Congratulations. So we got that all done. Let's go back to base and work on the next parts. But the nice thing is we did that kind of as early as we could, so it's generating for us. Okay. So next, what I like to do is get ahead on power. So we're going to get some more wind turbines set up. And then we're going to get a refinery. And then we'll work on the next step. So let's add 2 wind turbines to our list. Large grid. And then a basic refinery. Grab what I can, queue up the rest. Those are going. We'll see if that covers us. It might not, but our auto miner is hard at work covering us right now. While those are going, let's see if I can spot any more ores here. The handheld drill has a little shorter range than the vehicle, so we might need that still. Yeah, I think we do. So like I said, the important thing about having a faster start is always be either mining, refining, or drilling. Or sorry, mining, refining, or assembling. And as of this very moment, we are mining, refining, and assembling. So we're doing everything we can. So that's still going. We just want to keep an eye out, make sure we don't run out of resources. Actually, looking at these resources, I believe we finished all of the wind turbine ones, so we can get those set up. We did. Again, for all of these, you can turn off your jetpack while you're doing the heavy welding. And I actually added 3. I only wanted to add 2 more of these. Too soon. And then when you place this refinery, normally it doesn't really matter which direction, but in this case I do want this flat side towards the outside. There we go. So this is moving right along here. No major delays, and getting started. There we go. So we have an assembler. We have a basic refinery, so you can grab some cobalt or silicon or this iron down below and get that going. And we have plenty of power, so we have more power than we need. And then let's go ahead and set up battery backup power. So I'm going to queue up another small grid battery, remove the item for the refinery, queue those up. There we go. Well, so far so good. These resources are holding out. The iron's getting pretty low though. Let's see. We will need a trip over there soon. Let's go ahead and get one other item that will help us quite a bit, and that is a hydrogen bottle. Move that to the front. And so now, remember at the very beginning, we set this to auto refill, and we made room so we can use this hydrogen tank to refill our hydrogen bottles. So now it's much easier to make a trip over to the auto mine to go get resources. Very nice. Okay. So next I'm going to show you, this is kind of a life skill to have, and that is how to use a small grid on a large grid in a safer way. So what I do is I grab a rotor, and it's a very cheap way, and I go to a side where I have enough room to see the top of the rotor. This should be good. This would be a little bit too low without making some room, but this side should be fine. And then, so I placed a rotor. I'm going to remove the top part of it. And then I need to go back to the control panel, find that incomplete rotor, and add a small head. And that added that one right there. And so I can connect to that small head. It's just if it's not considered a static grid. Even if you locked it, it's not static. So let's say you connected a ship to it, it wouldn't know to turn off its engines. So what I like to do is make it static, and it's super easy to do when you're placing a fresh part like that. And that is by placing a block there, and then right off it I place a landing gear. And this automatically locks if it can when it's placed. And so this is now a static connection from a small grid to a large grid. And this makes it very cheap. This is only 1, 2, 3, 4 PCU total instead of like the 100 something, the 200 it would be to use connectors. So it's very handy to know how to do that. So now that's a static grid that I can use for whatever I like. I'm going to first use it for this battery. And this way we can use a small battery which only takes 20 power cells. And it can cover battery backup for a small grid, no problem. So there we go. We now have backup power, and that's really important in Apex, because in Apex, once the clouds come in, so it's raining right now, but once the clouds come in, these wind turbines stop and go to a halt. And so this will keep everything running for you. So we were almost out of resources, so let's go grab some more here from the auto miner. We can fly over here pretty freely because we have a full hydrogen tank. And then we've got over 1,000 iron and silicon there. We're doing good. And while we're here, since we have a refinery that's empty, let's grab the rest of the stone. So there we go. All right. So we have battery backup. We're producing. We're in really good shape already. Let's get our food processor going and be on the lookout for wolves, because they will be here any moment. I'm surprised we haven't seen them yet. But in order to make a food processor, we need to first make an algae farm, which don't think always makes sense, but I'll go with it, you know? So I have queued up this algae farm. And then the reason why we have this flat... Oh, wait a minute. As I said, the wolves will be at our door. They are here. So we got 4 raw meat from this. In a food processor, those 4 raw meat are even stronger than 4 algae. And algae doesn't run at night, and its sun is now going down. It's going to remain light in this world, but for you it would be really dark right now. So that's why we go for the food processor. Nice. And we aimed our building in the general direction of the sun, so should be able to get a little bit of algae over time as well. Very nice. We have now unlocked the food processor. I'm going to steal at least 10 of these bulletproof glass. I like to put my extra comps back in here so I can just cleanly pull them. So now we're going to make a food processor. And so those items are queued up. So the food processor does this. It's a very interesting block. It actually kind of has a bug with it. So on the front right of that panel right here, this is supposed to be a cargo container entry, but it's bugged, so it currently acts as if it's like a keypad. So you can access the inventory from here if you press I or switch to inventory, but it's not great. But the food processor is actually also a T connector. So it's got 3 connectors like this. And so I like to take advantage of that in my builds and use it as a T connector right there. Nice. All right. So we have done it. Oh, let's get this meat cooking. So I like to queue up a gazillion meat and then a gazillion kelp. And then now I can start eating this food and getting my health and my food back. So we are surviving now. We have a lot of power, more power than we are actually using. An assembler, a refinery, an algae farm that'll get us a little bit of algae over time, and a food processor so we can really cover our food needs. We have battery backup, so we won't have to stop our production for anything. That'll cover us just fine. We have a small grid connection that you can use for whatever you would like. So if you wanted to throw on a container to the side of this, you could. If you wanted to use this, later we'll use this for a turret controller. You can do it in small grid, so it's a lot cheaper. So all that kind of stuff you can add to your small grid, and that saves you some resources in the beginning. We have our auto miner running for us over there. That's good for another hour, and then you can replace the battery or add some more. If you are on a server and you want to package things up and you don't want your survival kit at the bottom of the hole, feel free to just go grab it and package it up and maybe throw it in a container on the side of your battery, and then you can replace it later when you're playing again. So if you have any questions, please put them in the comments below. Also, the link to the Discord is there. You can join the Discord, ask any questions there, or keep an eye on what's going on, new mods that are coming. But please subscribe if you want more videos like this, or check out some of my very unique mods below. And I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one, everybody.